Welcome to episode 18 of the Self-Care 101 podcast with your host, Pooja K. McClymont, helping people achieve their full potential with effective self-care through wellbeing coaching. Thank you so much for listening today. On this episode, I'm going to talk about mindset. So where to start on this amazing topic? Now, I do NLP with my clients because, well, to be honest with you, I think it's awesome and it is really easy for me to do. I do it in a very natural way, so I don't necessarily announce we're about to do NLP unless I feel it relevant to. And through the process of coaching with me, there are massive changes to mindset that are made that make all the difference to the way they live their lives and the goals that they're working on. So the reason why I wanted to talk about mindset is because it really is so much about everything we do is rooted in our mindset. Now, there's a school of people who are very, how should we put it? Well, they go around saying, I'm a really positive person, I think positively. I'm a positive person, I think positively. And I find them quite annoying because it's one thing to claim that you're positive, and the thing is, you can't be positive all the time. It's not possible. Life happens, If someone you love passes away, how are you supposed to be positive when that happens? How? If something bad happens to you, like you lose your job and you can't pay your bills, how do you stay positive in that situation? It's not possible. But what is possible is to have an adjustable mindset. Now, what that means is that when the chips are down, when things happen to you, you can pick yourself back up again quite quickly. So it's almost like having a compass, and there is the center point. On a literal compass, the ones that we used to use in school to draw circles. I don't really know what else we did with those. Architects probably use it better. But you remember that needle, that point that it had that you'd put onto the paper and it would hold the compass in place so you could do the round circle? Well, if we look at having a center for our mindset, think of a compass in that way. It's that middle point, and it's the point at which you keep coming back. It's like laying foundations for a good relationship. You lay the foundations, you build those foundations with your partner so that you can always keep coming back. So no matter how tough life gets, because usually what affects a relationship is what's happening around you, external things, and you will fall back to your foundations, your values, your core values as to why you're together in order to work on the problems that you're facing. And that's the whole point of when people talk about, marriage is work. That's what they're talking about. So when you have a really flexible mindset, and when I say flexible, I mean you don't think in just one silo, one way only. You're always looking for the solution, or you're willing to look at the solution or multiple solutions. You will be able to obviously manage your mental health better. It makes it a lot easier for you to bounce back from things that affect you negatively. And you just get on with life and actually start appreciating it. Because when we spend so much of our time overthinking, over worrying, and thinking about anything and everything that isn't to do with what we're going through, we make it a lot harder for us to cultivate those minds of ours to do what we want them to do. And essentially what we want our minds to do are to convince us that we're happy. And I know that sounds like a bit of a statement that we're telling our minds that we want to be happy, but that's what we're doing. Whenever we're talking, whenever we're doing anything, we are training our brains to think a certain way. And if our brains think a certain way, we will then act according to what we have taught our brains to think. So if we think in terms of, I'm the victim, woe is me, everything is happening to me, why doesn't it happen to other people, and why can't I do this, and why am I always sick, and why do I have this, and blah, blah, blah. Well, basically, you are training your brain to go, yep, that's me. I am a victim. I am always getting negative stuff happen to me. I am always miserable. I am this, I am that. But if you can change the way you think about things, if you can put a different perspective on the way you think about things, if you can allow yourself to address solutions to common things that you go through, common challenges that you face, whether that be with your actual medical health, or it be the way you think, or the way you approach work, or the way you approach relationships, you are going to be so much healthier all round. And I'll talk about this in a little bit about Ayurveda and how that works, because Ayurveda talks about the whole body. So mind, body, spirit, everything affecting everything. And there are more recent reports out there about how food affects mood and how food affects your hormones and things like that, that people are really sort of taking on now and believing. And this is something that Ayurveda has been saying for over 5,000 years. But now that there are reports, it's becoming more believable, which is fine. This is the world that we live in. And if that's true, then when you're thinking about how you have a better mindset to be the person you want to be and have the life that you want to live, looking at all the areas of your life that could affect it would be a really big step in making that mindset a reality. So we'll come to that. We'll come back to that in a bit. Now, what do I want to talk to you about? So, where has this all come from? Because, mindset is something that I will talk about a lot. I will do social media posts on them. And when you're talking to me in general, I will talk about mindset, because it's so core to everything that we do. And choosing your mindset, yes, it's a choice, is so powerful. It really is. Now, this all came from me starting the year. So I started the year actually on a really negative note. So I had to cancel 2 of my coaching programs this year. And I'll be honest, I was devastated. I really, really thought that the business was where I thought it would be and that everything would be fine, but it didn't work. And yes, I can talk about my energy and how my energy affected it, but for this podcast, I don't want to talk about energy necessarily. I want to talk more about mindset. So I felt really, really down that I had to make this decision to cancel both of these programs. It really, really upset me that I'd be affecting relationships that I'd just built with my suppliers, and I was really, really sad about it, literally. So I bit the bullet, sent the emails, and then I received the most incredible emails back, because I thought that they were all going to kind of write me off and go, oh, this woman's useless, what a waste of time, and all of that. And no. Every person who I thought I had let down came back to me and said, Pooja, this is a real shame, but what can we do to make this work? How can we help you? Every single person. And I was like, I don't want to say that I was necessarily teary, but I was really like, oh my God, thank you so much. That's so kind. And I know they can see the work that I'm doing and things like that. So they know that I'm coming from a good place and, what I'm trying to achieve with the work that I do. But to receive those emails really just lifted me, and they lifted me in a way where it was like, okay, so they haven't written me off. I shouldn't have doubted myself. I just made a business decision, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you do have to make difficult decisions in business. So that was that. Straight after that, I then had I had a bit of an opportunity to do a bit of marketing work, and marketing is my profession, or was my profession, however you want to look at it. So, bills need to be paid. So I thought, okay, whilst things are quiet in coaching, I'll take on some extra work and just do some marketing. It's good for networking. And to be honest, I think that I also need to be active all the time. My brain needs to function regularly, and working alone, working for yourself, it not only gets lonely, but you do need to interact with other people just as a general health thing. And after everything that happened to me in November, I'm very conscious of the things that I need in my life to help me thrive. So actually, although it's extra work, which I shouldn't be adding necessarily, but what that work brings is worth it. So that's why I'm doing it. And since I've been doing that for now, it's only been 2 weeks, I have literally gone from win to win to win. Like everything I'm touching is just turning to gold within the marketing space. I'm like, okay, let's use some of that energy. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about energy, but I mean like that sort of like vibe of, oh, things are going well. Let's take advantage of this. And it's been obviously keeping me more upbeat. So I was reflecting and I realized that my self-confidence within marketing is really high. And it would be. I was doing it for 20 years, so it's going to be high. And I basically, within that, when I was doing some marketing one day, I was like, right, here we go. I am going to approach a couple of people that I'm just going to take a chance with and just do it. And I did. And what I did was I reached out to 2 celebrities. Yes, 2 celebrities. And I asked if they would be willing to be interviewed for the podcast. And within minutes of receiving my message, I received a message back saying, yes. Just like that. Just like that, they said yes. Now, one of them is somebody who I really admire, I really, really respect, and I just think that, the show that we will put together is just going to be really, really amazing. He is such an inspiring person, and he used to work for a massive, I'm talking massive, the whole world knows this celebrity that he used to work with. So I know that he brings something next level special, and I just can't wait to share it with you. And I can't tell you who the celebrity is yet until we've recorded the actual interview, which won't be for a couple of months. I can't share the celebrity yet, but just trust me on this. You are going to love him. You really are. But his response to me was, I would be honoured to be on your podcast. I mean, who am I? Me and this guy have only had a few messages, from me actually reaching out to him last year. I said, look, I don't know how we can work together, but I feel like there's something here. I just don't know what yet. And he was like, cool, sis, just tell me when you feel like you're ready. So I'm ready, and I've told him. And like I was completely taken aback by his response, because I honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting a yes, but from an almost arrogant standpoint, because I was feeling quite buzzy from the marketing I was doing and getting all those wins. So I was literally taking that kind of egotistical buzz to the message, and it kind of worked. And then the other celebrity, again, I met him doing some marketing, and then I said to him, could I interview you for my podcast? It would be about this, this, and this. And his response was, yes, babe, just set it up. I'm like, who are these people? And this other person is I don't know if I should share it yet. But anyway, he's huge as well. So he's a huge celebrity, and British people will definitely know who he is. So I was quite overwhelmed by this. It was very exciting. I'm like buzzing beyond belief, and I had to reflect on it, obviously, as a coach. And if I'm going to do these podcasts, I want them to be authentic. So I did reflect, and I thought, because of the way I'm feeling, because my mind is in a get things done, I will win kind of attitude, I guess. I mean, I say win because it's like the ultimate goal, and it's quite a big statement to make. It's quite a bold statement to make. So it works for me, but obviously you'll have different ways of winning, if you like. But yeah, so that wording works for me. And I really am surprised at how everything I've been touching, everything I've been doing is having a winning effect. And essentially the win is that I get my way. My husband would love this. But yeah, I get my way. But I'm getting my way from a concerted perspective. So I'm consciously, I want to do this because that's going to have this effect. And you're the person who's going to help me do that. Or you're the service that's going to help me deliver that. And since doing that, anything that I've been working on has been resulting in this positive effect. Yay! So that's all good. Now, what I wanted to say about this, now I've obviously shared two very massive wins for me, and honestly I'm still so humbled about it, is that my year started with failures. And what I did was I shared with you that I had started the year with failure. I'd shared it on my social media. I'd shared it when I was talking to people. Obviously, that was within my communication in my emails because I was saying, oh, I have to cancel this or whatever. And when I was doing that, I was putting out there that it was a failure, but I'm learning from it. Or it's a failure, I have learned from it. This is what I've learned, etc., etc. And you'll see that at the top of the show, I've changed the wording a little bit of the show, and I've actually changed my trailer as well. Because over time, I've been thinking about this podcast. I'm enjoying doing it, but there's a very specific point that I'm trying to achieve with the work that I do in coaching. And that husband of mine, he's a good talker, but he's a good sounding board for me. I was talking to him about the business and where I wanted to take it this year. And he said something very, very direct to me, because that's how he is. And he said, babe, you called your business Frankly Coaching. I was like, yeah. And he said, do you remember why you did that? And I was like, well, yeah, like, I just want to tell the truth. I want to be authentic. I want people to know the truth, and I want them to be informed with what they're doing. And I don't really want to pussyfoot about with them. I want to be direct, compassionately direct, kindly direct, but to really help them get there. And he said, well, then you need to do that in everything you do. If you want the business, ask for the business. If you want to work with a celebrity, ask the celebrity. Whatever you're doing, there's nothing to lose. It's what you preach. And I'm like, all right, dude, thank you for holding up a mirror. You know, it'd be fine from anyone else, right? But but it was a really useful exercise when we had this conversation, and I really, really took it to heart, and I started acting on those learnings basically, and it's made a difference. So I've like upped my game on how I communicate on social media. I have upped my game with who I'm talking to, who I give my business cards to, asking questions, things like that. I've really upped my game and kept this really high level of I'm going to win. My self-confidence is really high. This is going to benefit both of us and all of that. And things are resulting. So that was a very big Pooja example of mindset. But the reason why I put it in is because these are raw examples. They have just happened. And if I'm talking to you about a particular topic on my podcast, I want to ensure that I am 100 million% right in what I'm saying. I want to be 100% sure that what I'm sharing with you is something that you can replicate as well. And what I want to talk to you about, and this is the kind of tip I'm going to give you in this podcast, and I've talked about this before. I also posted it on social media last week, but I want to just get into it in a little bit more detail today, is mirroring past behavior. Now, sometimes we talk about going into the past and not mirroring past behavior and not using past experiences to determine where your life is today. But actually, there is a technique in NLP called mirroring. Now, we use it as a practitioner, we would use it to build rapport with a client. But I've used it in a very different way in my practice, where the client thinks about, so this is you think about a time in your life when you were getting what you want from life today. So let me explain that. If you want to, I don't know, let's keep it simple. If you want to be happy, I will ask you, can you remember a time in your life where you could say that you were happy? Most people can, and they will reflect on that time, they'll talk about it. And then I will say, what was happening in your life at that point that made you feel happy? And you would then talk about that. But when you reflect on a time that made you happy, it could be something like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it could be last week, but however much time it was, there were so many different factors that were in your life affecting that happiness. Now, you can't replicate it to a T in the present day because that's not practical. But if you can replicate as much as possible, you are more likely to achieve that happiness that you're trying to achieve in your present day from using those reference points. So, what I did with this situation was reflect. When I'm in marketing, I feel buzzed. I get a high from winning, and I win a lot. And that's where my self confidence really built up in my professional life in marketing, because I was doing very well in a lot of companies. I was really achieving well. And so when I've upped the game on marketing there, it brought back all those feelings that I used to have when I worked. And, you know, I've become a mum and that changes life. And then I've changed career and I'm self-employed. So dynamics. So all those things have been affecting me now that I thought wouldn't affect me. They are. But when I got back to doing some marketing, it was really filling me with that self-confidence that was missing. So if you can reflect on a time where you can compare it, I guess, to what you want today, try to replicate the things that were going on in your life at that time so that you can actually apply it to your goals today, you will really, really affect your mindset in a great way, because what you're doing is you're creating a reference point. You're bringing it consciously to your mind to say, look, this exists, which means I can do this, which means I will find a way. I have the strength, I have the determination, I can make this happen for me. And when you start talking to your brain like that, when you start talking to yourself like that, it will start believing it. And then that's how you are touching everything in life. So then every time you touch something that is going to affect the goal that you're trying to achieve, it's going to take on that, I'm going to say energy, but I don't mean it from a universal or spiritual perspective. I'm just talking about it from a physical energy level, where your mind's at, where your body's at, and then how you touch everything to affect that goal is going to result in the results you want. At the top of the show, I was talking about Ayurveda and how the whole body is connected. So when I said also about positive people annoying me, it's not the positive people annoy me, it's the people who feel that they need to keep saying that they're positive is what annoys me, because saying that you're a positive person means nothing unless you understand that everything is connected. So you can be positive in terms of the way you speak, think, act, but then all the things that you do within yourself need to also be like that. You need to be able to bring yourself up, you need to be able to bring yourself out of situations that affect you negatively and stuff like that. It's just less talk, more action, I think, is probably the best thing to say. It's actually something I put on my website recently. So I was talking about something and I said, I'm just going to keep it simple, less admin, more action kind of thing. And it's true, less faff, just get on with it. You know, if you want it, get on with it. Teach yourself how to do something, train your brain in the way you want to think, and just get on with it. Whinging about the problems that you have in life is just going to give you more of that. So if that's what you want, carry on whinging. I was looking at social media recently, and my social media feeds are a real mixed bag of people. I follow other professionals in coaching, psychotherapists, things like that. I follow celebrities, and I follow celebrities all the way from J-Lo to the Kardashians. I follow magazines, I follow newspapers, I follow artists, music artists, I follow people. And there's a lot of negativity in a lot of communication that people put out, but they think that actually they're being positive. They're not. Something weird is that in my marketing for coaching, the gurus, they say that I should be talking about the pain points. And I can talk about the pain points, but I also don't want to labor the pain points because I'm talking about mindset a lot in the work that I do. So whenever you see me talk negatively, and I say that in inverted commas, I'm actually always going to turn it around. It's never just going to sit in misery and ask you for a misery response, because if I do that, that's what we're perpetuating. I'm perpetuating misery in my life by putting those kinds of communication out there, and you are then perpetuating it because you're whinging back. When you're doing it in a conscious setting like a coaching relationship, it's different, because as you speak, I will then challenge you through my questioning, my open questions that will take you to a solutions-based response all the time. And I try to do that in my marketing communication with you guys now. I hope that's clear. But my point, and I'm just going to wrap this up now, mindset is the key to everything. Whatever you think you're searching for, wherever you think you're searching for these answers for any chronic illnesses you're going through, your your goals, your relationships, your health, your career, all those things, it's your mindset. It all comes down to your mindset. Setting very, very clear goals for yourself. Very clear. Seeing how realistic it is to achieve those goals and what you need to do to achieve those goals. Because people seem to forget that you've actually got to do some work in order to get there. That sounded really condescending and I didn't mean that, but you've got to look at the goal you're trying to achieve, see if your life can realistically allow you to reach that goal. Do you have enough space in your life to do it? What do you need to clear out? What could make it easier? What kind of help do you need? I recently sought help and it's made such a difference to my business. I've got so much more clarity on who I want to serve and how I want to help. And you'll see, if you follow me in other places, that things are changing slightly in the way I'm communicating and what I'm communicating about. Because I'm getting clear, because I've recently just asked for help that I really, really needed, but I didn't know where to get the help from. So whatever it is you want to achieve, whatever you want to improve in your life, and I'm talking from the biggest things to the tiniest things, your mindset holds the key to all of that coming true. Thank you for listening to the Self-Care 101 podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe and review so that other people like you can find the show. For more tips and tricks, you can follow me on the socials at Frankly Coaching, or visit my website to find out more about my coaching programs and how to work with me at franklycoaching.com.